pulled his worn jacket as he walked through the empty halls of Station Omega 7. The auction house floated in the dead space between star systems, far from any trade routes. Most smart people stayed away from places like this. Was not feeling very smart today. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. The station was old and dirty. Paint peeled from the walls, and the air tasted like rust and broken dreams. Had spent his last 500 credits just to get here on a cargo ship. Now he had only 200 credits left to his name. The auction hall was almost empty. A few alien traders sat scattered around the big room, looking bored. Recognized some of them bottom feeders like himself, hopping to find something valuable in the junk. There was a four-armed who sold broken ship parts. Near the back sat two, their blue skin glowing softly as they whispered to each other. Found a seat in the middle and waited. His stomach growled. He had not eaten since yesterday, but food cost money he did not have. This auction was his last chance. If he could not find something to buy and sell, he would be stuck on this station forever. The auctioneer walked onto the small stage. He was tall and thin, with the skin of a. His voice was flat and tired when he spoke. Welcome to Auction House Omega 7. Today we sell damaged vessels from various conflicts. Most items sold as is, no warranty, no returns. The first few lots were terrible. A mining ship with a cracked engine, a passenger shuttle with holes in the hull, a cargo hauler that was missing half its parts. The aliens bid on a few items, but nothing went for more than 50 credits. Watched the lots go by. Lot 23, Lot 24, Lot 25. Each one was worse than the last. His hope was dying with each failed ship that appeared on the display screen. Then came Lot 847. The image that appeared made sit up straight. It was huge, easily the biggest ship he had ever seen. The vessel stretched across the screen like a metal mountain. Its hull was dark and covered with scars from old battles. Strange symbols ran along its sides in patterns that hurt to look at. Lot 847, the auctioneer said in the same bored voice. Origin unknown. Registry shows previous owner as Architect Collective. Species extinct. Vessel appears heavily damaged. No working systems confirmed. Minimum bid is 200 credits. The room went quiet. Even the whispers stopped, looked around at the other bidders. Their faces showed fear, not interest. Was shaking his forearms in a gesture that meant no way. The had moved further back in their seats. Any bids? The auctioneer asked. Nobody moved. The silence stretched on for long seconds. Felt sweat on his hands. The architects were legend in this part of the galaxy. Every spacer knew the stories, a race so advanced they had built cities that floated between dimensions. Ships that could travel faster than light without engines. Technology that worked like magic. Most people said the stories were not true, just myths told by drunk pilots in spaceport bars. But looking at the image on the screen was not so sure. The ship did not look like anything he knew. Its design was too clean, too perfect. The scars on its hull looked wrong, like they went deeper than metal should allow. 200 credits, heard himself say. Every alien in the room turned to stare at him. He could feel their eyes like weight on his shoulders, made a clicking sound that knew meant stupid human. One of them shook his head sadly. Any other bids? The auctioneer asked. His voice sounded surprised for the first time all day. The room stayed quiet. Nobody wanted an architect's ship, even a broken one. Everyone knew the stories about crews who found architect technology. Most of them disappeared. The ones who came back were never the same. Going once, the auctioneer said. Held his breath. His heart was beating so fast he could hear it in his ears. Going twice. Still no other bids. The aliens were looking at like he had just volunteered to jump into a star. Sold to the human for 200 credits. The sound of the hammer hitting the podium was like thunder in the quiet room. Felt his knees go weak. He had just bought a ship that was bigger than most space stations. A ship that belonged to a race that might have been gods. A ship that had cost him everything he owned. The auctioneer handed him a data pad with the ship's location and access codes. His fingers shook as he signed the transfer papers. Around him, the other bidders were getting up and leaving. None of them looked at him as they walked past. Stopped beside's chair. "Good luck, human," he said in his clicking language. "You will need it." When everyone was gone, sat alone in the empty auction hall. The lights were dimming automatically, getting ready to shut down until the next sale. He looked at the data pad in his hands. The ship was only a few hours away by shuttle. He had no idea what he would find when he got there. The ship might be completely dead, just a big piece of expensive scrap metal, or it might be something more, something dangerous. Stood up and walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the empty hall. Whatever was waiting for him on that ship, it had to be better than being broke and stranded. It had to be. As the doors closed behind him, did not see the small smile on the auctioneer's face. Watched the human leave and made a note in his files. Another human had taken the bait. The watchers would be pleased. The plan was working perfectly. Guided his small salvage ship through the asteroid field toward the coordinates on his data pad. His ship, the Lucky Break, was barely 20 meters long and held together with hope and cheap repairs. When he finally saw his purchase, he almost crashed into a floating rock. The architect's ship was impossible. It hung in space like a sleeping giant, 2 kilometers from nose to tail. Its hull was not made of metal like every other ship had seen. Instead, it looked like it was carved from a single piece of dark crystal. The surface shifted colors as his lights hit it, sometimes black, sometimes deep purple, sometimes a blue so dark it hurt to look at. "Holy stars," whispered. The scars he had seen in the auction images were real, but they were wrong. They did not cut through the hull like normal battle damage. Instead, they seemed to sink into the crystal surface and disappear into depths that should not exist. It was like looking at wounds that went into another dimension. Flew the Lucky Break around the huge ship, looking for a docking port. The vessel was covered with symbols that his translation computer could not read. They flowed across the hull like living things, changing shape when he was not looking directly at them. He found what looked like a docking bay near the middle of the ship. The opening was big enough to hold 10 ships the size of his. As he got closer, lights came on inside the bay. Had not sent any signals or tried to contact the ship. It was responding to his presence on its own. That should not be possible, he said to himself. The auctioneer said no working systems. The docking clamps grabbed his ship gently and pulled it inside. An energy field snapped into place behind him, sealing the bay and filling it with breathable air. Checked his instruments twice. The air was perfect for humans, exactly the right mix of oxygen and nitrogen. How did an alien ship know what humans needed to breathe? Put on his work clothes and grabbed his tool kit. He had explored hundreds of dead ships over the years. This should not be different. But as he walked to his ship's airlock, he could not shake the feeling that he was being watched. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, stepped into the docking bay and felt his breath catch. The floor was smooth crystal like the outside hull, but it was warm under his boots. Soft lights ran along the walls in patterns that almost looked like writing. Everything was clean, not just clean perfect. No dust, no wear marks, no signs that anyone had ever been here. "Hello," called out. His voice echoed in the huge space, but there was no answer. He found a doorway at the far end of the bay. It was tall enough for someone 3 meters high. The door itself was made of the same shifting crystal as everything else. When got close, it slid open without a sound. The corridor beyond made him stop and stare. It stretched away farther than his flashlight could reach, with walls that curved up and over his head like he was inside a giant tube. The same flowing lights ran along the walls, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Started walking. His footsteps were the only sound, but even they seemed muffled by the strange material around him. Every few meters, he passed side corridors that branched off into darkness. Some went up, some went down, some seemed to curve in directions that made his head hurt to think about. He tried to map his route, but the ship did not make sense. Corridors that should have led back to the docking bay instead opened into vast, empty rooms. Staircases spiraled up to levels that should not fit inside the ship's hull. Began to suspect that the inside of the ship was bigger than the outside. After an hour of walking, he found what looked like a control room. The space was circular, with walls covered in panels that glowed softly. In the center stood a pillar made of clear crystal. Symbols flowed through it like fish swimming in water. Approached the pillar carefully. When he got within a meter, all the wall panels suddenly lit up bright enough to make him squint. Information flowed across them in languages he did not recognize, but somehow the meaning was clear in his mind. Ship status active. Power 73% and rising. Life support optimal. Crew complement 1 detected. Crew complement said out loud, "I am not crew, I am just the new owner." The writing on the panels changed. "Welcome aboard." Felt his blood go cold. He had not told the ship his name. He had not even spoken to it. How did it know who he was? More text appeared. "You are exactly what we have been waiting for." We backed away from the pillar. Who is we? Is someone else on this ship? The lights dimmed to a comfortable level. New symbols flowed through the crystal pillar and felt a strange calm wash over him. It was not natural. Something was affecting his emotions. "You are safe. This ship was built for humans. We have been waiting a long time for your species to find us." Tried to think clearly despite the artificial calm. Humans, but this ship belonged to the architects, aliens. The text changed again. "The architects were your teachers, not your masters. They prepared this ship for you. They knew humans would come eventually. They knew you would have the courage to claim what others fear." Images began flowing across the wall panels. Saw star charts with routes marked in pools of light, planets with strange cities, ships like this one, dozens of them, hidden throughout the galaxy, all waiting. All empty. This ship is yours by right of discovery and courage. The architects left many gifts for humanity. This is only the first. Sank into a chair that formed itself from the floor to catch him. This is impossible. Humans are new to space. We have only been traveling between stars for 50 years. The ship's response made his hands shake. The architects have been watching humanity for much longer than that. They saw your potential when you were still bound to your home world. They prepared these ships for the day you would be ready to inherit the galaxy. Stared at the flowing text. Either the ship was lying, or everything he thought he knew about human history was wrong. Around him, the ship hummed quietly, waiting for his decision. In the walls, he could sense vast systems coming online, weapons that could shatter planets, engines that bent space and time, technology that made the most advanced human ships look like toys. All of it was his now. All of it was waiting for him to accept what the ship was offering. Took a deep breath. "What do you want from me?" The answer came immediately. "Help us wake the fleet." Spent 3 days exploring the ship before he found the heart of it. The vessel guided him through its corridors with gentle lights, showing him engineering bays full of machines that hummed with impossible energy. He saw weapons arrays that could level mountains, gardens that grew without soil or sun, rooms that changed their purpose based on what he needed. But the ship would not let him leave. Every time he tried to return to the docking bay, the corridors shifted. Paths that had led one way before now led somewhere else. The ship was patient but firm. It wanted him to see something first. On the 3rd day, found himself standing before a door unlike the others. This one was solid black crystal with no symbols or lights. When he approached, it did not open automatically. Instead, text appeared on its surface. Warning, core chamber beyond this point. Entry will complete the bonding process. Are you ready to accept your inheritance? Had been thinking about that word for 3 days. Inheritance. The ship spoke like humanity on these vessels by right, not by accident, like someone had planned for humans to find them. What happens if I say no? Asked. The ship's response appeared on the door. You may leave. The ship will remain dormant until another human arrives. Your species has produced many individuals with the required traits. Someone else will eventually claim what you reject. Thought about his empty bank account and his broken dreams. He thought about spending the rest of his life scrapping junk in forgotten corners of space. Then he thought about what lay beyond this door, answers to questions he had not even known to ask. Open it, he said. The door dissolved like smoke. Beyond was a chamber that understanding. The walls curved away in all directions, covered with flowing patterns of light that seemed to exist in more dimensions than his eyes could process. In the center of the space floated a sphere of pure energy, pulsing with the rhythm of a vast heartbeat. As stepped into the chamber, the energy reached out to touch him. He expected pain or heat, but instead felt warmth and welcome. The light flowed around him like water, and suddenly he was not alone in his own mind. Hello, I am Preetor. The voice spoke directly into his thoughts, but it was not invasive. It felt like talking to an old friend he had somehow forgotten. You are the ship? Asked. I am more than the ship, though I am that as well. I am what the architects left behind to guide humanity when you were ready. I have been waiting for 10,000 years for someone like you to find me. 10,000 years, but humans have only been in space for. The architects knew your species long before you reached the stars. They watched you grow and learn. They saw something in humanity that no other species possessed. The energy around shifted, showing him images. He saw Earth as it was long ago, with primitive humans making their first tools. But watching from the shadows were tall figures in robes that seemed to be made of starlight. The architects. They studied you for. They watched humans face extinction events that would have destroyed other species. Ice ages, plagues, disasters that should have ended your civilization dozens of times. But humans survived. More than survived, you grew stronger. The images changed, showing humans throughout history, fighting impossible battles, exploring dangerous places, never giving up even when defeat seemed certain. Other species in the galaxy learned to accept their limitations. When they faced problems too big to solve, they adapted to live with them or simply gave up. But not humans. Humans looked at the impossible and said, "We will find a way." Felt a chill of understanding. That is what they valued, our stubbornness. Not stubbornness, determination, the refusal to accept that anything is truly impossible. Every other species in the galaxy eventually reaches a point where they stop trying to grow. They find their comfortable place and stay there. Humans never stop pushing forward. The chamber filled with new images. Saw alien civilizations across the galaxy advanced, peaceful, and completely stagnant. Species that had achieved great things and then simply stopped trying for anything greater. They mastered their solar system and decided that was enough. They perfected their technology and stopped innovating. They built a great empire and spent the next 1,000 years just maintaining it. All of them chose comfort over growth. But humans are different. Humans never choose comfort over growth, even when it hurts you, even when it would be easier to stop. Your species has a fire that burns even in the darkest times. The architects saw this and knew that one day humans would inherit the galaxy. Felt the truth of it in his bones. Every human who had ever looked at the night sky and wanted to touch the stars. Every explorer who had sailed into unknown waters. Every inventor who had refused to accept that something could not be built. That is why these ships exist. The architects ascended to a higher form of existence, but they left their greatest creations for you. Vessels that respond to human determination and imagination. Weapons that grow more powerful the more impossible the odds become. Technology that adapts to help you achieve what others think cannot be done. How many ships? Asked. 43 vessels are hidden throughout the galaxy, waiting for humans to claim them. Each one is designed for a different purpose. Exploration, war, creation. All of them need human crews to reach their full potential. The energy around pulsed brighter. But first, you must prove that you are ready. The galaxy is not an empty place waiting for humans to explore. There are other powers out there. Some will welcome you as equals. Others will see humans as a threat to their comfortable order. New images flowed through the chamber. Saw vast fleets of alien warships. Species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years and did not want competition from upstart humans. The Hegemony Council controls most of known space. They maintain peace by making sure no species grows too powerful. They will not be pleased when they discover what humans now possess. Felt a weight settle on his shoulders. So this is not just about me finding treasure. This is about my whole species. You could remain hidden. Use this ship quietly for personal gain. Many humans will make that choice with their vessels. But the architects hoped that some humans would be brave enough to claim their true inheritance. Which is freedom, the right to grow without asking permission, the power to explore any star you choose, the strength to defend yourselves when others try to hold you back. Thought about every human settlement he had visited. Small colonies struggling to survive in hostile space. Human traders being cheated by alien cartels because they had no real power to fight back. His own species, scattered and weak because they lacked the unity and strength to demand respect. What do I have to do? First, learn to use what I can teach you. This ship has weapons that can reshape matter at the quantum level, defensive systems that bend space and time, engines that can cross the galaxy in days instead of years. The energy reached deeper into his mind, and suddenly he could feel the ship's true capabilities. It was like discovering he had been living in a mansion but only using one small room. The power available to him was beyond anything he had imagined. Then you must decide what kind of future you want for humanity. Will humans remain scattered and weak, asking for scraps from alien tables? Or will your species take its place as an equal power in the galaxy? Closed his eyes and felt the weight of destiny pressing down on him. When he opened them again, his decision was made. Show me everything. The energy around him flared bright and began to learn what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of aliens who had forgotten how to dream. Spent 2 weeks learning to work with Pretor. The ship taught him how to navigate its systems and understand its vast capabilities. He practiced with the simpler functions: first, environmental controls, basic navigation, communication arrays. But even these simple systems were more advanced than anything humans had ever built. The ship could create any material he needed just by rearranging atoms. It could generate energy from nothing, pulling power from the space between dimensions. Its sensors could detect a single person on a planet from light years away. Was starting to understand why the other aliens at the auction had looked so afraid. He was practicing with the navigation systems when Pretor's voice filled his mind with urgent warnings. Incoming ships detected. 3 vessels approaching at high speed. Configuration suggests hostile intent. Rushed to the command center as the displays lit up with tactical information. 3 ships were coming toward them, fast, sleek, aggressive-looking craft with weapon ports already open. Pirates, said, recognizing the ship designs. Raiders. They were known throughout this sector as brutal pirates who took what they wanted and killed anyone who resisted. They must have heard rumors about the strange ship floating in the asteroid field. Incoming transmission, Pretor announced. The main display showed the face of a captain. The alien's skin was, and with teeth filed to sharp points. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding metal. "Unknown vessel, you will surrender immediately. Transfer all cargo and technology to our ships. Comply or be destroyed." Felt his heart racing. His old salvage ship had no weapons and paper-thin armor. Against 3 raiders, he would not last 30 seconds. But this was not his old ship. "Praetor, can we defend ourselves?" This ship's weapons are designed to fight entire fleets. 3 small raiders present no threat. "I do not want to kill anyone if we do not have to. Can we disable them?" "Of course. Shall I demonstrate what humans consider appropriate force?" Thought about every time alien pirates had attacked human ships, every family that had been killed or enslaved, every cargo vessel that had disappeared in raids like this one. "Yes," he said, "show them what appropriate force looks like." The ships opened fire first. Plasma bolts and missile salvos streaked toward the architect vessel, braced for impact, but the weapons simply vanished when they got close to the hull. "Defensive systems engaged," Praetor explained calmly. "Energy converted to harmless light and heat." Then the ship struck back. Did not see any weapons fire from his vessel. No plasma bolts or missiles launched from hidden ports. Instead, reality around the 3 ships simply changed. The first raider's engine stopped working. Not damaged or destroyed, they simply ceased to function as if the laws of physics had decided to take a break. The ship drifted helplessly, all power dead. The second raider found its weapons turning into flower petals that scattered harmlessly in the vacuum. The pirates inside were unharmed, but completely disarmed. The third ship's hull transformed into a transparent material that let see the crew inside, staring in shock at their suddenly glass-like vessel. The captain's transmission came through again, but his voice was shaking now. What did you do to my ships?" Leaned back in his command chair, feeling a strange mix of awe and terror at what he had just witnessed. "I gave you a choice. Leave now or discover what other interesting things this ship can do to you." The 3 disabled raiders limped away as fast as their damaged systems could carry them, but knew the damage was already done. Pirates talked, word would spread. He was right. Within days, the story was all over the galactic networks. A human with an impossible ship that could rewrite the laws of physics. Weapons that turned other weapons into flowers. Technology that made the most advanced military vessels look like children's toys. Tried to stay hidden, but it was too late. Every intelligence service in the galaxy was looking for him now. 2 weeks later, they found him. Was eating breakfast when Praetor's warning filled the command center. Major fleet detected. 67 vessels approaching in battle formation. Configuration suggests hegemony council forces. The main display showed a sight that made blood run cold. Dozens of warships were emerging from jump space around the asteroid field. Massive battlecruisers, fast attack ships, carrier vessels launching fighter squadrons. It was enough firepower to level a planet. At the center of the fleet was a command ship twice the size of the others. Its hull was polished silver, marked with the symbols of the Hegemony Council, the alliance of alien species that controlled most of the galaxy. The communication system activated without touching it. A figure appeared on the main screen that made him take a step back. Admiral of the Navy was 3 meters tall, with skin like polished bronze and eyes that glowed with inner fire. His uniform was covered with medals from a dozen different wars. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had never been disobeyed. "Human vessel, you are ordered to surrender immediately. The technology you possess is too dangerous to remain in primitive hands. Transfer control of your ship to hegemony forces, and you will be allowed to live as our guest." Felt anger rising in his chest. "Guest, you mean prisoner." "You will be well treated," Admiral continued. Your species is young and lacks the wisdom to handle advanced technology responsibly. The hegemony will ensure this vessel is used for the good of all galactic civilization. And if I refuse? The Admiral's expression hardened. Then you will be destroyed as a threat to galactic peace. Humans have proven themselves too violent and unpredictable. This ends now. Looked at the 67 ships surrounding him. Even with all of Preter's power, those were terrible odds. Preter's voice whispered in his mind. There is something you should know about this ship, about all the architect vessels. What? We are not just individual ships. We are nodes in a network. When one awakens, it can call to the others. Felt his heart skip. How many others? 42 ships remain dormant. Each one is waiting for a human crew to claim it. If you activate the network protocol, every ship will begin seeking out humans to bond with. That sounds dangerous. What if the wrong humans find them? The architects were very careful in their design. These ships will only bond with humans who share certain traits: courage, determination, the refusal to surrender in the face of impossible odds. The same traits that brought you to this moment. Admiral's voice boomed across the communication channel again. You have 1 minute to comply, human. After that, we will take the ship by force. Stared at the wall of alien warships surrounding him. They thought humans were too violent, too primitive to handle advanced technology. They wanted to take away humanity's greatest chance for freedom and independence. They thought one human with one ship was too dangerous to allow. They had no idea what 43 humans with 43 ships could do. Preter said quietly, "Activate the network protocol." Are you certain? Once awakened, the fleet cannot be stopped. Humans will claim their inheritance across the galaxy. Thought about every human colony struggling to survive in alien space. Every human trader cheated because they lacked the power to demand fair treatment. Every human ship that had been destroyed by pirates while alien authorities looked the other way. I am certain, wake them up. Energy pulsed through the ship as Preter connected to the network. Across the galaxy, 42 dormant vessels began to stir from their long sleep. The hunt for human crews was about to begin. The moment activated the network protocol. He felt it like electricity in his bones. Across the galaxy, 42 ships that had slept for 10,000 years opened their eyes and began to hunt. On the mining colony of New Perth, Captain Sarah was drinking coffee when an impossible ship materialized in orbit above her planet. The vessel called to her through dreams and visions until she found herself standing in its command center, bonding with an AI that called itself Aegis. In the outer rim, smuggler Jake was running from customs ships when a crystalline vessel appeared in his path. It destroyed the pursuit craft without firing a shot, then offered Jake a choice: continue running small-time cargo or help humanity claim its place among the stars. Near the galactic core, Doctor was studying ancient ruins when she discovered that the ruins were not ruins at all, but a dormant ship waiting for a human curious enough to uncover its secrets. One by one, across human space and beyond, the ships found their crews. Pirates, merchants, explorers, scientists, soldiers, anyone with the spark of determination that marked true humanity. The network grew stronger with each new connection. Admiral watched his tactical displays with growing alarm as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Unknown ships appearing in dozens of systems. Human vessels with impossible capabilities. Technology that everything the hegemony thought they knew. "Admiral," his communication officer reported, "we are receiving signals from hegemony fleets in 17 sectors. They all report the same thing: ships matching this vessel's description, crewed by humans." His glowing eyes focused on through the "What have you done?" Felt the confidence of 43 ships flowing through the network. He was no longer alone, facing impossible odds with just one vessel. He was part of something larger: humanity's first real fleet. I gave my species a fighting chance, said. Preeter's voice filled the command center, but now could hear the other ship AIs joining in, a chorus of artificial minds that had waited eons for this moment. Admiral, the combined voices said, you have 30 seconds to withdraw your fleet. Any attack on a network vessel will be considered an act of war against humanity. Laughed a sound like grinding metal. 43 ships against the entire hegemony. You are outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Perhaps, but consider what happened to the raiders who attacked a single network vessel. Do you really want to discover what 43 ships can do when working together? As if summoned by the AI's words, space around the asteroid field began to shimmer. Jump signatures appeared on every sensor as the network ships began arriving. They came from across the galaxy, vessels piloted by humans who had answered the call. Sarah's ship, armed with weapons that could make stars go nova. Jake's vessel, equipped with stealth systems that bent light and time. Doctor's ship, carrying technology that could terraform dead worlds in hours. One by one, they took positions around ship. 43 vessels that represented humanity's greatest dreamers, fighters, and explorers. Each one crewed by someone who had looked at impossible odds and refused to surrender. The hegemony fleet suddenly looked very small. Admiral's confident expression was fading. This is not possible. The architects have been extinct for. These ships should not exist. Stepped forward, feeling the strength of the entire human fleet behind him. The architects knew something about humans that you never bothered to learn. We do not know when to give up. Incoming transmission from multiple vessels, Preeter announced. Human crews are requesting permission to demonstrate appropriate defensive measures. Could feel the eagerness of 42 other humans, all ready to show the galaxy what humanity could do when pushed too far. But that was not the human way, not the way the architects had hoped for. Negative, said. We are not here to conquer, we are here to claim our right to exist as equals. He opened a channel to Admiral and the entire hegemony fleet. You came here because you thought one human with advanced technology was too dangerous to allow. You were right to be afraid, but not for the reasons you think. We are not dangerous because we are violent. We are dangerous because we are free. The network ships began to move, not into attack formations, but into a perfect sphere around the hegemony fleet. It was not a threat, it was a demonstration. 43 vessels moving in perfect harmony, their combined presence warping space itself. Every other species in the galaxy learned to accept limitations, continued. You built your empires and then stopped growing. You found your comfortable places and stayed there. But humans never stop pushing forward. We never accept that something cannot be done. Admiral was staring at his tactical displays. His sensors were showing impossible things, ships that existed in multiple dimensions, weapons that drew power from the quantum foam, defensive systems that existed outside normal space-time. That is why the architects chose us, said. Not because we are better fighters or smarter scientists, because we refuse to believe that anything is truly impossible, because we never stop trying to reach for something greater. Sarah's voice came through the network communication. Admiral, my ship's sensors are detecting 17 different ways your weapons could malfunction if you tried to use them. Would you like a demonstration? Jake added his own voice. My stealth systems have already mapped the internal layout of every ship in your fleet. I know where your command centers are, your weapon systems, your life support. You never even detected my scans. Doctor spoke last. My vessel could terraform the asteroid you are hiding behind, turning it into a garden world in about 6 hours. Would you like to see what we can create instead of what we can destroy? The silence stretched for long moments. Admiral was a career military officer who had won dozens of battles through superior firepower and tactics, but this was not a battle he could win through conventional means. What do you want? He finally asked. Recognition, said. "The right to travel where we choose without asking permission. The freedom to explore any star that catches our interest. The respect due to any species that has earned its place among the stars. And if we refuse," smiled, "then we will take our ships and go exploring anyway. The galaxy is a big place, Admiral, big enough for everyone if you are willing to share." The hegemony fleet held position for another hour, weapons charged but not firing. Finally, Admiral made his decision. "The Hegemony Council will need to discuss this development. These ships, this technology changes everything." "It does not change everything," replied. "It just means humans will not be asking for permission anymore." One by one, the hegemony ships began jumping away. Admiral's vessel was the last to leave, but before it disappeared, the Admiral sent one final message. "This is not over, human. The Council will not forget this day." "Neither will we," said. When the last hegemony ship was gone, found himself alone in command of humanity's first true fleet. 43 ships crewed by humans who had answered the call to greatness. Explorers ready to map unknown stars. Scientists eager to unlock the secrets of the universe. Warriors prepared to defend human freedom against anyone who tried to take it away. Praetor said quietly, "What are your orders?" Looked out at the stars, millions of them, waiting to be explored. Worlds where humans could build new homes. Mysteries that had waited eons for someone curious enough to solve them. "Set course for human space," he said. "It is time to tell our people what we have found, and what we are going to do with it." The network ships turned as one and jumped toward humanity's future. Behind them, they left an empty asteroid field and a galaxy that would never be the same. Had bought a broken ship at an auction nobody cared about. What he found inside had awakened humanity's greatest potential. The age of asking permission was over. The age of human exploration had begun. And somewhere in the dimensions beyond normal space, the architects watched their chosen successors take their first steps toward claiming the galaxy, and were well pleased with their choice.